I'm excited about myself and the things that I'm still learning about myself and this life. It's really interesting because there were other times in my life when I did not understand as vividly as I believe I do today. I was angry, less aware. As a result of that, I considered doing things that would have cut my life short. Had I done that, I would not know some of the really, really good things that I have been exposed to and now understand today. As sure as I have scars on my face and scars on my wrists, the truth is just what I've said. I've been somewhere. But more importantly, I now know today that I'm going somewhere. If there's a person out there that's looking around and thinking, man, I look around at my life and this thing is not what I want. This is not what I like. There's an old saying that said, well, hey, you know what? You made your bed and that you're going to have to lie in it. If you are looking around in that same situation and saying, man, this is terrible. I don't think I want to go on anymore. Think about this. Life can be what you make it. You can get up, you can change the mattress, you can change the bedding, you can get a new box spring, you can get a whole new bed. You can create it. I think this life can be a really wonderful thing. And a person, whether they know it or not, whether they understand it or not, can create their own destiny. Thoughts become things. Life can be beautiful. Don't give up. Give yourself a chance.
So this is this could be something that might not even pertain to you at the moment. This could be something that you might feel like is um, very redundant. So people talk about it often um, when it comes to subject matter or this character or this story. You might feel that this is something you've heard 1,000 times already, and it might not be for you. That's okay. Um, Number one, I'm here to tell you that it might you might not feel that way now, but at some point, this might be a little bit more relatable content for you. Uh, on the flip side of that, this could be exactly what somebody might be going through right now and might need some light shed on what it is they're going through. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about a character that dragged through the mud, uh, had all kinds of just bad things going against him, and had absolutely no business being as faithful as he was. I mean, and why do I say that? Because, well, because of how remarkable this this story is, and because of how remarkable. I don't know if me personally could have done what this individual did. And I'm sinking. I don't know if you can see this right now, but I'm slowly going down in my chair. That's why I keep fixing it. I'm having a chair malfunction. But I'll look at this and see if I'm still within the frame good enough. Hopefully I am. What, why am I doing this? Well, first, let me reveal who it is I'm talking about. I'm talking about the character of Job. You again, you might hear this and roll your eyes at it and say, "Oh, another Job story," or "Man, I hear about Job a lot." Well, okay. Again, this is going to pertain to everybody at some point in their life. If you are a follower of Jesus, and even if you're not, you can look back at your life and say, like, "Okay, well, all right, I can understand this now." There's something to this story that is very relatable to me. So we're going to look at the story of Job, and I'm going to tie this into what I talked about a couple of days ago, the story of Jonah and his his reluctancy to not follow God and what God had basically laid out before him as a prophet and what God wanted him to do. So I'm going to kind of tie these two things in together. The story of Job, I'm not going to go through the entire book, but I'm going to give a very brief summary of the book of Job. Job was a wealthy man living in a city called Uz, and he had a very large family. And he was described as this: blameless and upright. And he was always very careful uh, of evil doing, making sure that he was as far away from that as possible. And one day, Satan, also called the adversary, appears before God in heaven, and God boasts to Satan about Job. But Satan argues this, and he says that Job is only good because God has blessed him abundantly. So Satan challenges God, and he says, if given permission to punish the man, Job will turn away from God, and he'll even curse God in his affliction. And God allows Satan to do this. He allows Satan to torment Job, to test God's bold claim about Job, but he forbids Satan to take Job's life in the process. Now, in the course of one day, Job receives 4 messages, each bearing separate news that each message being pretty significant blows to his life. One message was that his livestock had died. Another message that his servants had died, and that 10 children had died. Now Job tears his clothes, shaves his head, but he still blesses God in his prayers. And Satan appears in heaven again, and God grants him another chance to test Job. This time, Job is afflicted with horrible, horrible skin sores. And at this point, his wife is even encouraging him to curse God and to just give up and die. But Job refuses, struggling to accept his given circumstances. He still refuses. Now, there are uh, three friends of Job's, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, and they come to visit Job, sitting with him in silence for 7 days out of respect for his mourning. And on the seventh day, Job speaks, and he begins a conversation uh, in which each of the 4 men share their thoughts on Job's affliction in very long and very drawn out, almost poetic statements. Job curses the day he was born, comparing life and death to light and darkness. And he wishes that his birth had been shrouded in darkness and longs to have never been born, feeling that light or life only intensifies his misery. One of the friends, Eliphaz, says this to Job, or he responds to Job. Eliphaz believes that Job's agony and all the things that Job is going through, it has to be because of some sin that Job has committed, and he urges Job to seek God's favor. Bildad and Zophar agree that Job must have committed some kind of evil to offend God's justice, and argue that he should strive to exhibit more blameless behavior, which these claims and these terms are completely contradictory to how Job was described in the beginning of the book of Job. Bildad, Bildad says that Job's children brought their deaths upon themselves. And even worse, Zophar implies that whatever wrong Job has done probably deserves greater punishment than what he has received. Now, Job responds to these remarks. And in these remarks, he's so irritated that he calls his friends worthless physicians, which, I mean, yeah, they're not really making things better for Job in this situation. He calls them worthless physicians whitewash um, who whitewash with lies. And uh, after making pains to assert his blameless character, Job starts to ponder man's relationship with God. He ponders why God judges people by their actions, if God can just as easily alter or forgive their behavior. It is also unclear to Job how a human can appease or court God's justice. God is unseen, and his ways are beyond human understanding. But moreover, humans cannot possibly persuade God with their words. God cannot be deceived, and Job admits that he does not even understand himself well enough to effectively plead his case to God. And so Job wishes for someone who can mediate between himself and God, and for God to send him to a place called Sheol, which is also known as the deep place of the dead. Now, Job's friends are offended that he scorns their wisdom, supposed wisdom. They think his questions are crafty and lack an appropriate fear of God, and they use many analogies and metaphors to stress their ongoing point that God, or that nothing good comes of wickedness. Job sustains his confidence, though, in spite of these criticisms, responding that even if he has done evil, it is his own personal problem. Furthermore, he believes that there is a witness or redeemer in heaven who will vouch for his innocence. And after a while, all of this going on proves to be a little bit too much for Job. And he laments. He has very mournful sadness. He laments the injustice that God lets wicked people prosper while he and countless other people, innocent people, suffer. Job wants to confront God and he wants to complain, but he cannot physically find God to do it. He feels that wisdom is hidden from human minds, but he resolves to persist in pursuing wisdom by fearing God and avoiding evil. Now there's the fourth friend in this case. Another friend, Elihu, suddenly enters the conversation, and he believes that Job has spent too much energy vindicating himself rather than God. And he explains to Job that God communicates with humans by two ways: visions and physical pain. And this is some, I mean, kind of bizarre words being shared to a man that is suffering as much as Job. And this other friend Elihu also says that physical suffering provides the sufferer with an opportunity to realize God's love and forgiveness when he is well again. And this other friend also assumes that Job must be wicked to be suffering as he is. And he thinks that Job's excessive talking is an act of rebellion against God. This is a case, though, of Job. All his words were not an act of rebellion. He wasn't trying to be slick. He wasn't trying to. He wasn't trying to vindicate his innocence throughout all this pain, all this suffering. Instead, what he was doing was he was not going to commit to sins and evil things that he did not commit. He wasn't going to admit to it because he knows in his heart that because of who he was prior to all this going on, he was a man that shunned evil. And so he wasn't going to commit to these things. And even in this hardship that he was enduring, he remembers who he was, a godly man, righteous and blameless. So during all this, Job looks to God and he wants to have this talk with God. And then God finally comes in. And he doesn't come in through a vision, and he doesn't come in through more pain. He comes in through a whirlwind, a big gust of wind, demanding Job to be brave and respond to his questions. Now, God's questions in this case intend to show how little Job knows about creation and how much power God alone has. And God describes many detailed aspects of his creation, praising especially his creation of two large beasts, the behemoth and the Leviathan. Now, overwhelmed by all this, Job acknowledges God's unlimited power and admits the limitations of his human knowledge. And this response pleases God. The friends that came in to try to be there, I guess, for Job, well, these friends actually upset God. But Job, being the friend that he is, actually steps up and he intercedes on their behalf, and God forgives them too. God returns after it's all said and done, after this major trial in this individual's life, after he's lost so much, his livestock, so basically his income, um, his servants, his friends, and the people that help him with his day-to-day livelihood and the operations that he has with his work. He lost his children. I mean, my goodness, I couldn't imagine. Just I don't even want to think about that, being a father. But this man lost his family, his livelihood, his health, and throughout all this, finally, when he sits back and he realizes that I'm just a human, I know nothing in the grand scheme of things. My life on this time, or my life on earth, it's a vapor. I'm here one day and I'm gone the next. When he realizes these things, and still throughout his affliction has the heart to say, hey man, listen, forgive these friends of mine. They do not know what they're doing. It's pretty powerful stuff. And after it's all said and done, God returns Job's health, and he provides him with not just what he had, but twice of what he had. Twice as much property, new children, and an extremely long life. How does all this tie into what we got going on as individuals today? How does all this tie into what it is we're dealing with? Well, I'll be the first to tell you, a lot of my afflictions in life are self-afflicted. I I can't sit here and say to you that I am anywhere in the ballpark of Job. I'm not as righteous. I'm not as blameless. I'm not as, I guarantee you, I'm not going to be. If I had some kind of affliction like what Job was going through, I'm probably not going to be as mindful as he was about being righteous and being blameless and being upright, wanting to shun evil as much as he was wanting to do during his trial and even before his trial. And it makes me think, God got the attention of a man who was one of the first ones that came to his mind when talking to the adversary. Like, have you considered my servant Job? This warrior, this earthly warrior of mine, who's on earth right now, that, you know, I don't think's going to turn. I don't think's going to curse me. Have you considered that, man? The adversary went after one of the best walking the earth at the time, and he failed. Now that's not to say that, he was perfect, because he wasn't. He wasn't perfect. A lot of people say that Job was patient. I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't think Job was patient because he was able to, or he say he was able. He got to the point where he was just ready to just have it out with God. I guess he was patient up until a point, but that's besides the point of what we're trying to get at. How many times have we gone through life, and how many times have we gone through something that just, it absolutely wrecks us as people? How many afflictions have we had in life, whether they're self-afflicted or, you know, that, or they, things just happen to us? And how many times have we just turned away from God? Like, God doesn't love me. If this is happening to me, God doesn't love me. If these things are happening to me, God obviously must be so upset with me that he wants absolutely nothing to do with me at this point. Have you ever had that thought? I've had that thought. I've had that thought often. But that's a toxic thought. That is a contradictory thought to God and his character. I want to get to some verses that explains this character of God and who he really is. But first I want to share this with you. There's a song by a group called Shane and Shane, and yeah, it's the same name, just Shane and Shane. But they have a song that is just it sums up this book and this experience that Job went through almost to a T. And I want to hit the main point right here, like how this relates to us in life. No matter the trial, no matter the tribulation, what is your mindset? What is your mentality as an individual? Are we going to let the afflictions that we go through on a daily basis hit us so hard and make us suffer, or make us think we're suffering so much that we just put God aside and we forget about the good that he's actually provided us? Are we going to be individuals that blame God for these things? Are we going to curse God when push comes to shove? Is that going to be us? I'm going to read these lyrics to you from this song. It's called Though You Slay Me. It says, I come, God, I come. I return to the Lord, the one who's broken, the one who's torn me apart. You struck me down to bind me up. You say you do it all in love, that I might know you in your suffering. Though you slay me, yet I will praise you. Though you take from me, I will bless your name. Though you ruin me, still I will worship. Sing a song to the one who's all I need. The second verse, my heart and flesh may fail, the earth below give way, but with my eyes, I'll see the Lord. Lifted high on that day, behold the Lamb that was slain, and I'll know every tear was worth it all. No matter what happens, though we might feel slayed by the things, slay as in like, taken down, taken out by the things that are going on around us, the afflictions that we might face in life. I had a friend say this here recently, these momentary afflictions that we might face in life. What is your mentality? What are you striving for the most in life? Are you striving for financial prosperity? Are you striving for popularity? Are you striving for power over people? Or is this what you're striving for? This is what we should be striving for. Our eyes focused on God throughout all the hardship, throughout all the afflictions, throughout all the torment we might be going through. Our eyes should be focused on God. Here are some verses that might help you understand God and who He is. These are some verses about God's character, or verses about the character of God. One of my favorite, 1 John 4:8. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ, or God, is the same yesterday and today and forever. He's not going to change who He is. That love is constant. It's forever. In 2 Peter 3, verse 9, the Lord is not slow to fulfill His promise, as some count slowness, but is patient towards you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. I go back to who I was talking about a couple days ago with Jonah. That's what happened with him. God gave him a second chance. but he put him in a pretty serious situation inside the belly of a whale. And he endured a storm. He endured the waves of the ocean. He endured God's wrath because he wasn't being who he was supposed to be. And he knew better. And he ran from God. And he was drawn up inside the belly of a whale. And after he came to his senses, God said, okay, I think we got this. And the whale vomited Jonah up. And he went on about his business. He turned from his wicked ways in that sense. And he went on about doing what he was called to do. And that's how we need to be. We need to keep ourselves focused. We need to remember that God is always in our corner. He's not wishing anybody to perish. He doesn't want anybody to turn to sin and live in sin. He doesn't want that for people because that is the path that leads to destruction. He wants them to turn from their ways and look towards repenting. Again, I said this the other day, changing, a 180 change. And this is a passage right here that might possibly be top 3 most well-known passages in the Bible. John 3:16. For God so loved the world. He loved the world so much. And he's not talking about the ways of the world. He's talking about the inhabitants of the world, his creation, the people that exist in this world. He loved the world so much. He loved his people so much that he gave a piece of himself, which is what we call his whole only son, a piece of himself that miraculously came into this world, was born of a virgin, lived as a man, but showed us how to properly live as a man, gave him to die. He gave his only son, that whoever believes in this son should not perish, but have eternal life. I hope that this message was something for you. I hope that this, because look, I'm not going to lie. Have I been going through torment? Yeah. Is it self-inflicted? You betcha. But I've realized that these self-inflicted problems that I have is simply because these things are happening because I walked away. I turned my eyes away from a God that is constant. He's always there. And I turned away. Something a lot of us are guilty of doing. Why did I do it? Well, because I just felt as if I didn't need him. I didn't need his presence. I didn't need him because I felt like the ways of this world might be able to get me more of the things that I thought I needed. But realistically, that was not the case. What I need more than anything in this world is the love of God. And throughout my experiences, my heart has been completely tenderized throughout my experiences. And I would like to believe I'm not as fertile when it comes to soil, like my heart being fertile soil. I'm not as fertile as I would like to be, but I know that we're getting there. And I just hope that this message is something that can benefit you. And remember, we serve a God that is constant. He doesn't want us to perish. He's there for us. And how do we know that this God is there for us? Well, number one, the book says that he is. But also during this torment that Job went through, God showed up at the right time. After all the affliction, after all the pain, the emotional pain, the physical pain, after all of it had ran its course to the point where Job was just nothing, God came and delivered abundantly in his life. And this is not a game that God plays either. It's not. That's not what this is. God's not playing games with us. It's just there's something to be said for the individual that can endure, because the lesson that is taught through that, it kind of lets you know that this life is not what all it's cracked up to be, and that heaven is going to be what all it's cracked up to be. So again, I hope this is something that's been beneficial for you, and I thank you all for just being a part of all this. And if there's anything I can help you with, or something, I just let me be an ear for you. Respond in the comments. If you're not about putting your business out there for people, that's okay too. Anybody watching, if you just want prayers, put that in the comments. Let it be known. I'll do it. And I have other friends and people that follow that'll likely do it too. You're not in this race together, and we're all supposed to be here for each other. So, again, thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.